Hello and welcome to Have You Got Your Shit Together with me, Caitlin O'Ryan, the podcast that celebrates not having your shit together. On today's episode, we have Zephaniah Tokossi. Zeph is a 22-year-old actor out of East London who attended the Brit School and went on to play a leading role as Oberon in A Midsummer Nights Dream on stage at the RSC, and is currently working on new projects which I'm not allowed to tell you about, so keep your eyes peeled. He's an incredible spoken word poet who has blown me away every time that I've seen him perform and has headlined some of the biggest nights in London, gaining the attention and mentorship of seasoned artists such as Sully and Nego. This is such a beautiful episode. Zeph was so open and vulnerable with me. We talk a lot about grief and how writing has been helpful for his healing. He also managed to spin the questions around onto me a couple of times. He's so inspiring to talk to, and we've included one of his poems at the end of the episode, which is called The Woman in the Black Dress. I hope you enjoy. Here's Zeph. Welcome to my house, which is 5 minutes away from your house.
Yeah, we found out that we live... we found out at Groover's, right? That we literally live so close
because you did a poem, right, which mentioned the copper mill?
The copper mill, yeah.
So, on a scale of shit to together, how are you feeling today?
I'll go with a 7, which we will categorise as... whether that's more together and less shit or more shit but still firmly together, I don't know.
So you're holding your shit together?
I am. And it's not to say that there's not things that won't go wrong or haven't gone wrong. I literally just had a splinter in my ear a week ago. So, you know,
because of a Christmas tree fatality.
Equilibrium was all over the place. It was a nightmare. But I feel content.
Okay.
That's probably the most important thing rounding off the year right now. We're almost at the end of 2023.
Yeah. How has 2023 been for you?
A roller coaster.
Yeah.
A serious roller coaster. There's been a lot of negatives, a lot of strong negatives to be fair. Okay. But also in that you learn to just kind of take yourself out of... because they're our lives, of course we can get invested in them, but you're not the main character all the time. So sometimes it's about taking that step back, looking at it objectively and going, all right, cool, this is the situation. Can't necessarily change it, but I can control my reaction to it.
Definitely.
And so moving forward, I'm going to try and have a better day.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what this year has been. And in that, you find little beautiful moments, you know? And in those beautiful moments, I realised, cool, these little things about life are what I like. Like, my mates, Warren and Josh, I haven't seen for probably 8 months. I could have gone the whole year without seeing them. They probably could have gone the whole year without seeing me. But we caught up for lunch, and that was just, like, one of the best days of my year.
Oh, wow.
So it's, like, learning to appreciate and find those little moments is what I find important in life. And that's kept me grounded this year. Yeah,
that's really lovely.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we became aware of each other, or at least I became aware of you from the poetry scene. And that feels like a recent thing that you've started doing.
Yes.
In terms of performing maybe you've been writing it for a lot longer.
So for context, I'm newly 22, as of 3 days ago.
A baby!
Yeah, no, I know. So I've been writing since I was 11.
Wow.
Been writing since I was 11.
It's half your life.
Also, shout out my old teacher. That is half my life. Yeah. Oh my God.
22 now, huh?
Yeah, shout out my old teacher, Kat Brogan. She's also a poet, spoken word artist, whatever you want to call her, feminist, LGBTQ plus, sorry if I missed any letters.
You got the plus in there.
Activist. But yeah, she's a really dope person, and she kind of got me into poetry. I've always loved English, storytelling and writing and all of that has always been my thing. But she was just like, hey, you should do poetry. Yeah. And I was just like, I'll try it. And fast forward, I ended up doing the Jack Petchy Speak Out competition, ended up winning my regional finals. Wow. Went on to a nationals and I lost there, but it was just that experience.
There's no losers at a final.
This is true. But yeah, it was that exposure that sort of flicked that switch and just kept me writing all those years. So I've been writing for pretty much 10 years. And only started performing last year, 2022, in the summer after my friend Joshua Alexander, the GOAT, after he decided he was going to do an open mic.
Yeah.
And he won that and then won the headline at Poets Palace, which we both know and love.
Mm-hmm. Shout out Casey.
Shout out Casey, man. What a guy. Yeah, so he won the first headline, actually, at Poets Palace. And then I said, you know what? I'll do the open mic at your headline. And then I won the next headline.
At his headline? Oh, that's so cute.
And it was just, it was a crazy little moment. And from then, performances have just been spiralling. We're talking about underground bars, we're talking about Nights in the Pink Room, we're talking about hidden literature, groove verse. The list goes on and on. To be fair, it's kind of surreal how many events I've done in the short space of time.
It just kind of rolls. It's when something aligns, it just kind of comes quite easily. I think.
It is. And it's weird, because I never thought my life would take that turn in terms of poetry and spoken word. Because I get on the mic or the stage nowadays, and I don't say this to say that I don't think highly of myself, but I don't think too highly of myself. So when I get on there and I get off the stage and everyone comes up to me and it's just like, oh my gosh, your work is so profound, or I was so moved and this, that and the third, I'm just like, oh my gosh, what do I do?
Do you know what I find about your stuff? Like, I genuinely think you're one of the best poets that I've seen.
Oh, don't.
Like, no, honestly, and what it is that it's like, it's so, like, realised. I think sometimes with poetry and spoken word poetry, it can kind of become about it being a bit techie or like barry, but it doesn't really have like a beginning, middle and an end. Whereas like I can really tell that you're an actor and like a storyteller because it's so fully realised and you're taken on a journey with it, but it's also really profound and but also like the writing is barry and like the technicality of it is great. So
Oh, thank you.
So it's mad, like you're only 22, but I think this is like a long journey.
Oh yeah,
you've got ahead of yourself with it.
Yeah, it's something I'm always going to do.
You always just come back to it as well, I guess.
It's I mean, I don't want to say it's a form of therapy, right?
I say this as well.
I purge. It's like catharsis, because all the thoughts just end up on a notes app or on a physical page, and then I make sense of it later down the road. But it's just good to get the stuff out there, just so I have clarity in my own head.
I always say it's like you're taking these big emotions or these big life experiences and you're having to like filter it down to like a tangible, like palatable thing that you can explain to people.
Literally.
And that's why I find it so satisfying, is because it's like almost like wrangling this big emotion that might be running away with you, and then suddenly you've got it controlled.
And it's the process of that, right? And what that means for your actual life.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get overwhelmed by external experiences and feel like you have no control. But when you translate writing to life, you have a plethora of experiences that you could write about, and when you put them on a page, it's random, it doesn't make sense, it's messy.
Yeah.
And then you find a way to formulate all of that and make it make sense, make it cohesive, put it in a way that people can understand it, and it's eloquent and it's beautiful. And you can do the same thing with life.
Yeah.
You can literally control your reaction to those experiences, your temperament, etc., and just make it so you can move forward in a way that's like you're able to navigate the world in an easier way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, completely. And I think why people have such a strong reaction to you is because what you write about is so vulnerable. But also I think it's the skill of like the writer or the artist to reflect life back to people. And there'll be people sat there who don't have the same skill with writing but have felt all the things that you're feeling, and you're giving them the gift of like being able to understand it for themselves. Yeah.
I think to be fair, I put this in a piece, but like my little, and I won't say toxic trait, but I'm going to for lack of a better word or phrase. I always feel like people can do what I do.
Yeah.
Like, that is my thing. I don't see a difference between myself and anybody else, obviously bar personal experience, other than the fact that I've put 10 years into this without like asking anything of it.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, if you dedicate the time to it, you can get there too.
It's time, but also like interest in it as well. Like
Of course.
we do it because we enjoy it, whereas like some people wouldn't take an interest in it.
But I'm just like, no, like, you can do this too. Like, people come up to me, oh, I can never do what you do. I'm just like, yes, you can.
Have you heard of this thing called AI? You definitely
can. You really can. You literally really can. And it will do half of it for you.
Point us out of a job, man. Okay, so on that then, what does having your shit together mean to you?
Wait, on a scale of shit to together, how are you?
Oh, wow, the flip reverse.
No, wait,
how am I feeling today? I think probably quite low down, actually. Probably like a 5.
Okay.
Before you got here, I was low. I was like running around like a fucking headless chicken.
Why?
Because I didn't sleep very well last night. Which therefore, even though I've set an alarm, I'm like trying to weigh up, do I get up with the alarm or do I try and get more sleep?
Yeah.
And then I feel like I'm catching up with myself for the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's me. But I'm glad that you're here because it's making me feel like I'm achieving something.
I'm glad to be here. No, listen, you're doing really well, and it's something that I've had to try and like I'm not, and I will work like I am one, but I'm not a robot. And you are a human being, and you do need rest, and you do need to prioritize your own sanity sometimes. Yeah. Because we don't have life figured out at all.
I know.
Even the oldest of people are still trying to figure out life on its journey, right? And they're quote unquote approaching the end of it. So you can never really have it figured out. And so whilst you're in the process of it, just kind of enjoy being in the thick of it, even if it's all muddy and musty. Yeah.
I think I've got very used to like swinging from one thing to another. Yeah. I'm not really like a sit down. So for example, it's Christmas. I don't know if you know, it's Christmas next week.
It is.
I don't think I bought a single present. But it's because I'm living in the present. So, like, it could be any day today. Do you know what I mean? I'm not counting down. But I also think, it's like I'm going back home for Christmas on Friday. I've got the gig on Thursday. Yeah. So I just feel like there's lots of things up in the air at the moment that I'm just kind of like slowly trying to tie down.
There's a lot happening.
Yeah.
There is a lot.
So that's me. So thanks for having me on your podcast.
What does having my shit together mean to me? Do you know what? I feel like it looks like trying.
Okay.
Every day. Like, you won't ever really, I mean, and a lot of people would probably classify having your shit together as like having this job or making this amount a year or having your dream salary or whatever it is, having a family, whatever that looks like to you. It would probably be the end result of that. But to me, I kind of enjoy the process. Yeah. And so if I'm getting up and I'm like, okay, yesterday we ended at about like 60%, had 40% left in the tank and I didn't get to give 100 because I was a bit too mentally tired. Yeah. But we'll get up today and we'll try and go for a 70 today or 80 today. I'm always going to strive for 100%, but like if we reach it, we reach it, and if we don't, we don't. Either way, I will get up the next day and give effort. And that's what is like, I'll say that's more having my shit together than an end product. And I'm here now.
So it's the journey. It's the getting up and the taking steps towards the thing.
It's always a journey. And it's the thing that's funny is I used to fear that the most. I always used to sit there and go, all right, cool. Let's just kind of blank out the journey. The end process is the end product is the thing that matters.
But how do you get there?
Do you know what
Honestly,
I mean? Like how do I get there then? And it's just like that process prepares you and it builds you. And if I didn't prioritize the journey, I probably couldn't be sat here having this conversation with you because I wouldn't have enough to talk about or enough perspective to be able to kind of look at things a certain way. And because I'm still on a journey, things are still subject to change. Yeah. So even my thoughts now aren't finalised about certain things.
It's like being malleable.
Literally.
But, like, it's that thing, isn't it, that, you know, if you said you were going to climb Everest and then you snapped your finger and suddenly you're at the top of Everest, there'd be no satisfaction in that, like, actually the joy of it. My housemate had it, for example, she ran the Berlin Marathon. Oh. And she, like, was training every day for it. Yeah. And then when she did it and she completed it, she suddenly felt, like, empty almost because she was like, and now what?
Yeah.
That was her structure. That was the thing that was getting her up out of bed, the thing that was pushing her forward every single day, and suddenly she completed this thing, and I think she was expecting to feel, like, ecstatic, but actually she was kind of left in this void of, what now?
Literally. That's me with theatre, funnily enough.
Yeah.
I did a show at the RSC years ago. It was A Midsummer Dream.
Yeah, Midsummer Nights Dream.
Midsummer Nights Dream, yeah. Shout out Shakespeare.
The OG poet.
So that process was like 8 weeks of rehearsal and then about 6 weeks of shows.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was a proper little run.
Who'd you play?
It was a proper little run. I was King Oberon. Oberon, King of Fairies.
All right.
Come on. But yeah, like there was so many ups and downs, and there's discovery, and then you have that solidified character in your head, and then you lose it all, and then there's a moment of rediscovery, and then it's completely different, and then you do the shows, and the audience changes day in, day out, and it's completely different, and the jokes don't land the same, the humour's definitely not the same, Bottom is not as funny on the first night as he is on the 17th night, and it's just like, the show ends, and we finish our final show, and it's just like, okay, what is my purpose in life now?
Yeah, honestly.
Because I dedicated so much time to this. Like, I gave pretty much, 14 weeks of my life to this every single day. Yeah. And now I have nothing to do.
And now what?
So yeah, that journey, right, that process is a thing where I feel like if we can all fall more in love with the process, whatever that is, in career, whether that be our aspirations, whether for some people it is poetry, acting, writing, riding a bike. Yeah. Training up to a marathon, whatever that is, if you can fall in love with the process, I feel like you weirdly learn to appreciate life a little bit more.
Oh, definitely.
Because you start looking at the small things as if they're all huge things.
Yeah.
Like, for your friend, the lead up to that marathon, an injury probably felt catastrophic. Yeah. But that being able to run again, oh my God, you know, it must have felt so freeing and just so good to be in that moment. So the process.
And that's what having your shit together means to you.
Yes.
Processing. Okay, before the podcast, I asked you to think of an object that makes you feel like you've got your shit together.
Yes.
What is it?
My wallet.
Your wallet?
My wallet.
Go on,
which
why?
I do not have with me.
Okay.
But it's because I'm weird in this, and I think it's because I've been somewhat mature from a slightly young age. I'd say about 15, 16. But in my mind, since then, I have not aged. Okay. So it's like I have to consciously think about my age when people ask me how old I am. Wow. And it's just like, oh yeah, no, I actually, like, I am 22. I had this conversation the other day. Someone was just like, what, it was your birthday? How old did you turn? 21. No, sorry, wait, 22. Yeah. I have to keep reminding myself. And my wallet makes me feel grown. Okay. So again, if we're talking about that end product, like, my wallet is one of those things where I used to attach it to, like, being financially stable. And, you know, if I carry cash, then I won't keep using damn Apple Pay, tapping my card away like Apple is paying for the stuff that I'm buying.
That's so true.
Because they're really not. And yeah, it just makes me feel a little bit more put together. I have all my cards in there. I know what's necessary and I know what's not. And I look at the available cash in there and I'm just like, I could afford this takeaway. But there's food at home which I spent this cash on, so let me go and cook.
That's so good.
Yeah. It's a little thing that makes me feel like a little bit of a grown-up.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that, like, as kids, like, who was having a wallet or, like, a purse or anything like that, it's definitely something that you ascend to at some point. Yeah. You get one.
And I think I always kind of looked up to men with wallets, as weird as that sounds.
No, that makes sense.
I've always looked up to a man with a wallet or a man with a nice watch on, because, like, those weren't things that I saw inherently, like, in my household or just around. Yeah. And so I kind of wanted to grow up to be that man, you know, like that specific man that I'm talking about or thinking about walks with a certain bravado and people look at him a certain way and he walks into the coffee shop and it's just, you're right, love, morning, trouble, how you doing? And everyone's just so, like, their rapport is just so much what I wanted for my adult life. Wow. And I think I'm starting to get there anyways, I'd hope I am. Yeah. But yeah,
I love that. That's such a good one. A time in your life where you felt like you really had your shit together?
I would say 2019.
Okay.
So at this point, I was still in college. For reference, I went to the Brit School of Creative and Performing Arts.
Alumni such as Adele.
Adele, Tom Holland.
Wow.
The list goes on. Javan Wade, Purcell Ascot.
Do you have to audition to get into that?
Yes.
Wow.
You do. I was so unprepared for my audition. It was so crazy. My teachers would probably be so disappointed.
What, did you do like a monologue or something?
So you have to do two. You have to do a contemporary piece and a Shakespeare piece.
So is it like you choose your media? So like obviously Adele, I guess, would have sung.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's music, theatre, dance,
Great,
the
okay.
more popular ones, and then you have TTA, IDD, all the design ones, all the tech stuff, and then makeup, etc., etc. How I prepared for my theatre audition was they give you a list of Shakespeare monologues, to be fair, so that makes it easier.
Yeah.
I picked Romeo and Juliet. And I should have. No, I played Romeo. And my contemporary monologue, it's right there on the tip of my head, but I can't quite grasp what it was. I learnt both of them on the train to my audition.
Wow.
So underprepared.
Wow.
So underprepared.
Wow.
Probably the worst mistake I've made in my life, because I walked into that place and it was teeming with, like, I promise you, when you say the word creative and you have that picture in your mind of what a creative is, like, everyone in that school was a creative down to the bone.
Yeah.
And I was just like, right, well, I'm not getting in.
Yeah.
Long story short, I got in.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did. But yeah, no, 2019, when I was just going into year 13, was probably that year that I had my shit most together. Like, I was waking up at a certain time every single day. I'd wake up and it's stretches and yoga and voice warm-ups, and then I get into school early. My lessons don't start till 9, but I'm in school at 7. And again, it's me and the guys, and we're doing monologue research and finishing our logs. Our logs is just basically coursework.
Yeah.
And it was that time where I was also auditioning the most, and this is why having your shit together is weird, because I allocate me having my shit together most to the period of time where I was doing the most in order to progress my career.
Productivity.
Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, personally, that year wasn't the worst, but it was probably where I felt out of touch with myself the most.
Interesting, yeah.
And it's still funny how I still equate my most having shit togetherness to that time.
Do you think that's like a societal thing in terms of the expectations that we put on ourselves? Yeah.
You're just conditioned
that productivity
to work,
is...
you're conditioned to go.
Yeah.
And it's funny the way the world is taking a turn of AI and robotics now, but like, we are not that. We're social, emotional beings, and we kind of need balance. Everyone has this idea of like, oh no, don't be balanced. And to some degree, I can follow that, right? When I'm in the gym, I can 110% say I'm so far unhinged.
Yeah.
Like, I will go till near death failure in order to be able to get the results that I want.
Yeah.
When I'm training, when it was sports, it was that level of intensity, but that's because the playing field is so competitive that you need to be that way. Otherwise, you'll get beaten every single time. And that's the mindset that I took with acting. So I was auditioning the most. I was always writing. I was always taping. I was always in school on time. I was always leaving late. I would probably, like, Brit is in Croydon, so it's an hour and a half away from me. It's an hour and a half away from me. School would finish at 4. I'd leave at 8. Get home at 9.
Oh my God.
Tape until like 1 or 2, and that's like taping, editing, etc., sending things off, doing logs, and then wake up and then be out of my house again by 6. And I'd repeat that day in, day out. So it's a process. It was a real process. But looking back, I feel like that gave me a drive that A, not a lot of other people have.
Yeah.
But B, also an understanding for the hunger that you need to have in the industry just to survive.
Yeah.
And so now I can kind of navigate it better.
Yeah.
I can sit there and go, okay, this is needed. We can plan around it to make sure that I can still do this.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to burn myself out doing it.
Yeah. Because I think so much with acting, it's been a lot of stuff that I've been reflecting on at the moment, but like, making your way in acting or within creative industries, it's like 30-40% talent, and the rest of it is like audacity, but also treating it like a business and and doing all of that extracurricular stuff. I think a lot of people have the talent and are kind of waiting to be spotted, or waiting for the things to come to them, and actually it's about pushing yourself and treating it like a business. Like
you
it's
have to
like,
headhunt it, man. You have to be the one that's headhunting these opportunities, because if you think about a casting director, they've got hundreds of people to sift through and look at and sort of make a choice on. Essentially judging all these people. If you sit there and you wait in the background, they might never get to your table.
But also, like, treating it like that gives you a sense of empowerment, I think, because I think so often with this kind of industry, you can feel so, like, lost in it all, because there's so many people, and you might have a great agent, but you might be thinking, God, like, I'm just kind of waiting for them to do it for me, and actually knowing that there's stuff that you can be doing to empower yourself.
Just being proactive a little bit and kind of take some of that control back, especially as actors. It's very easy to just feel like a work for hire. Whereas if you can sit there and go, okay, no, I'm going to chase this opportunity and I'm going to control whatever variables you can, just to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward, or you're putting yourself in the best possible position, just makes your life a little bit easier. Hard work, but makes your life a little bit easier.
Yeah. I think having structure, though, from what you're saying that you had at the Brit School, is what most people need in order to feel like they have their shit together. So yes, it's like productivity, but it's also just like, I think when you just have like a vastness stretched out in front of you, you can start to kind of get a bit lost in it.
Yeah.
Like, it's that quote that's like, if you want a job done, give it to a busy man, because you will be moving forwards anyway, rather than just feeling a bit, lost.
Yeah. But I think structure is always needed with awareness. I think what I lacked was the awareness of self.
Resting.
Just to be able to stop and just be like, Zeph, breathe, give yourself a little break.
Do you think you've got better with that?
110%, yeah.
110%.
Listen.
Never nothing if not overachieving.
I went to the gym yesterday. I said, what? I'm tired, man. I'm tired. I'm going to light my candle, put some Rick and Morty on, kick my feet up, and just have a lovely chill night, because I knew I was coming here the next day, and I was just like, I want to be okay. And if I exhaust myself, I'm not going to be okay.
Yeah, that's good self-awareness.
It is.
Well done.
It is. It's still hard, but journey.
It's growth.
Process.
Okay, in opposition to that then, a time in your life where you felt like you really didn't have your shit together.
Last year.
Okay.
Last year, summer. When was Poets Palace? I believe it was July 16th. Yeah, the first one. Yeah, that was a shaky time. It was a very shaky time. A very big change, a negative situation happened. I won't divulge what it was for the sake of the person's privacy. But that happened, and that's, again, at that moment in time, I was pushed into fight or flight, so I didn't have that self-awareness, and I wasn't looking after myself, and I was showing up for people, offering everyone else everything, and I had nothing. And that was literally, the same week Josh did his headline, and then I sat there and went to Case and was just like, I want to do an open mic, and then we did one, I believe, August. And then I won that headline, and then et cetera, et cetera. And so they were good moments nonetheless, but they were just clouded by this whole like thing of negativity. And it was rough. It was rough, because I'm quite a, you know what, I'll call myself a loner. I'm quite a loner. I'm not alone, like I've got people I love that and friends and stuff, but I can spend a lot of time by myself, and I like it like that. Like, I'm very happy by myself. I enjoy my own company. I don't annoy myself, which is part of the reason I spend so much time alone. But yeah, I can be with myself, with my mind, with my thoughts, and it's okay. And in that period of time, it felt very not okay to be so alone, but then at the same time, I felt like I was externally being a burden to people if I was around them. So yeah, it was weird. I'm in a better place now. so weird to think that that was
Think
only
back to it, yeah.
like just over a year ago.
Yeah.
But it's, again, we keep going back to that journey. It's part of it. Looking back, I wouldn't change it for the world. Well, I say that. A friend of mine died. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
But do I want them back? Do I miss them? Yes. Would I have changed that situation for the world? No. I think it, at that point, gave me a perspective on life that I was missing.
Yeah.
I kind of started thinking of life as being finite.
Yeah.
Because especially when you're as young as I was at the time, you start to think that you've got so much time and life can go forever and it's okay because nothing can take us out and we're all invincible.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah.
You're really not. Everything is finite and you have to tell people you love them when you do because you might not get that chance again, etc., etc. So that was when my ship was least together because that just spilled into work and other things. It made life in general really difficult. But we're here and we are better.
Yeah.
And I look at that situation with just a lens of appreciativeness. Like hard as it was, I'm grateful for it because I don't think I would have grown into the person that I am now without it. As strange as that is to say.
Yeah. I'm so sorry that happened.
So we'll get it.
But the way in which you talk about it is heartening, I guess, in terms of taking such a awful thing and I guess having to, you can either fall into it or you can climb out of it, I guess. And it sounds like through processing and through time you've been able to kind of utilise it.
Have I put it in? I have. Have you? Were you at Poets Palace?
I
when
have heard the poem.
The Soldier Scars.
Yeah, and it's incredible. That's the first poem that I saw you perform.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It was a piece called The Soldier Scars. It's like 8 minutes long, which is the longest piece I've ever written.
Yeah. A lot to process.
Yeah, a lot to process, and it took a year to write. So.
Yeah. But often when you're writing those things, you're not anticipating performing it. So
no, never.
You know.
I literally made the decision to perform it on that day, and I was just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's still weird to talk about.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the thing with like grief in any aspect, right? You never really learn how to handle it.
Yeah.
It just shows up in different ways.
There's no template for it either. Like, as a
all.
society, we do not talk about grief. No. Like, it's this thing that we all kind of know is looming over us. Yeah. Like you said, the old people are about to die soon. We know it's like the one definite thing that we're all going to experience at some point, and that we're going to experience losing loved ones. But no one is like, you don't get a lesson in that in school of like how best to show up for yourself or for other people. It's crazy. It's like we're all too shy and nervous to look at this thing in the face.
Yeah.
I think there's other cultures that are way better at it than ours.
100%, yeah. But I also, I don't know, I'd like to think that people are just so in love with life that it just terrifies them a bit too much to talk about the other side of things. Like, death has never been something that I've been scared of. I've always been quite acutely aware that it's there and it will come at whatever point. But yeah, it's something that just needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when you open up that passageway for communication in that time, then at least you know you have people who you can speak to.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the easiest thing to do at that moment where you experience grief is shell up. Definitely. And just not talk to anyone and internalise. And especially as a man, that's what I'm programmed to do from the moment I'm born, pretty much. So, yeah, it was weird. Shout out Joshua again. He's gonna get a lot of shout outs because that is actually my guy.
Yeah.
But no, he's always been there for me. He's always there for a conversation, and I think that is important.
Yeah.
It's literally my brother from another mother.
And I think there's that thing as well when you're experiencing, sadness or grief or anything like that. What you were saying about not wanting to be a burden on anyone, but trusting that the people who love you actually want to make space for that, and that people know what to do with that. I think sometimes when you remove yourself from people, that can feel, for people who love you, a harder way to get to you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
a harder way to
100%. And I'm definitely like that. I do make it hard for people who want to be there for me, because I just don't like to allow my problems to kind of filter onto anyone else. But even in that sense, it's like, even if you don't know what to do, and a lot of the time my friends and my family haven't known what to do, I'm a very complex person to try and deal with. The thing that I appreciate the most about them is that they'll still go on that journey of figuring out.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to get things wrong and still be there for me after that.
Yeah.
I
think sometimes as well, like you want to like fix someone's problem, don't you? And you want to like make it better for them. And actually sometimes it's just about giving someone the space to talk and process it and like empty it out. But I think that's why it's really important that you do put it into your writing and that you do perform it, because there will be people who will connect with the journey that you've been on and haven't seen themselves represented on other platforms and stuff like that. And I just think it's a really important and
that's what I found with A Soldier's Scars. I like when I performed that for the first time, it was very selfishly. I sat there and I was just like, you know what, no, this is like this right there on my mind. I need to get it off there. So I'll perform it. And then I performed it, and the amount of people that came up to me afterwards talking about Zeph, like, you have no idea how much I needed that. I've been through a similar thing. Someone brought me their nephew, who was there as well. She had brought him to Poets Palace, because she's a poet as well. And he was just like, yeah, he's going through similar things. Can you talk to him? And I was just like, what qualifies me to talk to your nephew about his life? I'm just simply going through an experience and narrating it. Like, I'm not qualified to talk to anyone. But it was that thing of like taking a step back again and realizing like so many people are just like you. Like so many people go through the same things.
I experienced it. So the very first poem that I started performing at spoken word nights was a poem that I'd written about consent, which again, and like the grey area around it, which similar to you, like I had written it in my bedroom for myself, trying to process a thing, and never ever anticipated performing it in front of anyone or anything like that. And then I did, and that's the one that started getting me like booked for things. But I would always, when I first performed it, I was so nervous and scared, because I was like, this is such a private thing that like I don't know whether people will relate, I don't know if people will judge me, I don't know whether this and this. And actually, because it's so vulnerable, the amount of people that I had coming over to me afterwards, which were just like, thank you, like you've put into words something that I've been wrestling with for like a really long time and stuff like that. Like, I think that is the power of writing and the power of like poetry, is that what I was saying before, it's almost gifting other people with language that they can process their own stuff. And it's strange when they're coming over to you and they're like, this happened to me, and you're like, I'm really sorry.
No,
I'm so sorry. Can I help? Can I give you a number for a therapist or something? But it's a really powerful thing.
From that situation that you wrote about, how are you feeling? Are you okay? Are we good enough?
Thank you. I am. And actually for me, the process of performing it, like the very first time I did it, I like burst into tears immediately after it, because it cost so much to do it. But now it's helped me heal, because in every time that I do it, it's like talking about things halves shame, right? Like that shame is so powerful because it silences you, and it attaches to these situations, even if it's like grief or like, you know, whatever. There's an element of shame and like holding it away from people that almost like makes that emotion more powerful and more silencing, because you're just sitting in it and you're keeping it to yourself and you're bottling it up. And actually it's that a problem shared is a problem halved, right? Like being in a space, particularly like a poetry space, where everyone is there being vulnerable and willing to hold you, like being able to share that and having people come up to you and be like, I've been there too, or is actually a really beautiful thing, and for me has helped me heal as well. And now when I perform it, it's almost like it doesn't belong to me anymore, it belongs to like everyone else. And I've never really spoken about it like this before. It's quite a beautiful thing, really. It's like it's helped me to process my own stuff, because it's not just mine anymore, it's like everyone's. Do you know what I mean?
I love that for you. I do love that for you. And I'm glad you're doing better.
Thanks. Anyway, You keep flipping this, so it's like me being on my own
It's
podcast.
conversation, man.
Hey, Ant.
Hey.
You do a great job in editing this podcast, might I say. If people like the podcast, what do they need to do?
Like it.
What else?
Follow it on social media.
And then what?
They could share it with every single person they know.
Thanks, Ant. You can go back to your corner now.
Bye.
3 things that make you feel like shit.
Now, this one isn't exclusively, because I can still go for it at times in controlled environments. I will say alcohol.
Okay.
I started drinking fairly young. Do not judge me.
Hey.
I know you wouldn't anyway. No, I started drinking when I was like 15.
Okay.
But that's just because of people who I was
That's
around.
pretty standard.
Yeah. Yeah, no, now
Yeah.
I've realised that
Yeah.
it is, which is marginally
Just
scary.
talk about it, babe. Get rid of that shit.
Marginally scary, but...
It is terrifying.
Yeah, no, there came a point where, like, if I was going out, it was, like, I had to drink, and, like, it was shots upon entry, and then you're mixing white and brown liquor, and it's just, it was a nightmare, and I think I kind of got to that place where it wasn't serving me anymore, like, it didn't do anything for me, it was actually doing more detriment than it was any positive effect, and it would just, like... It made my career harder because I'd wake up hungover. Yeah. My body is now in terrible condition. I'm super dehydrated. I don't have the means or the facilities to do what I love to do. And because I can't do what I love to do, I don't feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
And that started to snowball. So I cut it out for about a year, like cold turkey. And then I came back to it. And now I'm at this place where I can like have a drink and it's all good. But I definitely will not push past like a few. We'll call it out a few glasses of wine or whiskey if I feel like an old man, and then we'll call it there. But alcohol has been something that I've wrestled with for a little minute.
Yeah. That is like it's like a societal thing, isn't it? That like, I think when you're kind of introverted or, I don't know, alcohol becomes this almost armor that you tell yourself that you need. Yeah. So that you can like go and be in a social situation, and
literally
the thought of being in a social situation without it, especially if other people are drinking, is like really anxiety provoking. But it's a way that I think as our society we like come together. It's like everyone kind of gets fucked and literally bond, and then the next day everyone's like bonded and being hungover, and you've all been on this journey together.
When we was in the Euros and we was almost there, and it was the home stretch, it was pubs and bevs. That's all it was pubs and bevs, and, you know, Rashford scores a goal and everyone's beer is all over the walls, and it's just like, it is that thing, right? And especially British culture, they heavily embrace a beer, and I love it. I do love it. It is good fun, but sometimes for my own personal sake, I just need to know when to just scale it back. I need 2 more things. I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing that I might not have 3.
That make you feel like shit?
Yeah. Well, not seeing my friends enough is definitely another one. I am naturally extroverted. That has since changed to purposefully introverted.
Interesting. An extroverted lone wolf.
Yeah. No, honestly. Or
have a great time on your own.
what this society would call, I believe, a sigma.
Oh, wow.
A sigma male.
What's that mean? I've never heard of that.
So yeah, just the guy who's able to go anywhere, the sort of social butterfly that just chooses to be alone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Not a beta male, I'm not an alpha, I'm just a sigma.
Oh, wow.
Just me and my little sigma ways. But yeah, no, I just, a lot of life experience has just made me sort of have to sit down and reflect.
Yeah.
And because I have to do that, I have to naturally spend more time alone. Because when I'm clouded by, when I was younger, I was very much more impressionable.
Right.
So when I'm around other people, I stop listening to myself and I go with what everybody else wants to do or where everyone else wants to go. And it's just like, no, I got to go and do this thing, or I'm just not feeling it today. And that has just sort of made me go, you know what? Let me listen to myself and do what I want to do. And actually sit down and reflect. My longest period of time of reflection was genuinely throughout COVID. During that lockdown, I went on a walk every single day. Literally down towards Tottenham Hill. I walked through the marshes every day. I'd have the same route, just like by the little docks. And I'd come straight back up. And I learnt the most about myself during that time through being alone, just because I was forced to be alone.
Yeah.
And now I have people around me who I choose to have around me and who aren't around me because of circumstance or anything that I can do for them.
Yeah.
And it's the same with me and them. So leading back on to my point, seeing my friends is something that is massively important. We're all wildly busy because we're all very ambitious people, but we do still make effort to see each other, and that's the most important thing. And thirdly, sleeping too much.
Sleeping too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's weird because a lot of people
Groggy.
love sleep, but
Well, I guess you can overindulge.
literally, and too much of anything can be a bad thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, sleeping too much is, and it's a weird thing. I think my relationship with that is, if I'm sleeping a lot, I'm not doing enough, because
So
you
you're
only
judging
have
yourself.
24 hours in
Yeah.
a day. So I'm just like,
Yeah, but you have to sleep at some point.
get up. Yeah, no, you honestly do. You honestly do. But I think I found a sweet spot between like 5.5 and 6 hours of sleep.
Oh my god, that's like a politician. Margaret Thatcher sleep for like 4 hours a night or something like that.
Yeah, no.
Wow.
But I genuinely don't need a lot like that. I hit 5.5 hours to 6 hours. I can wake up on my own without an alarm, feeling good. But it's all about like the thing before, like the night before.
Yeah.
Like my routine has to be set in place for me to be able to go to bed at a certain time and
What's your
wake up.
nighttime routine then?
So if I'm not working late, like today I'm not working, so after the evening, like my day will probably stop around like 7:30, 8 p.m. Go have a shower, wash my face, get into some comfortable clothes, light a candle as I always must. Have a little bit of a comfort food / late snack session.
Oh yeah.
Maybe a tea.
What's your snack?
I mean, it depends. If I'm feeling particularly unhealthy, I'm sorry for anyone who's allergic to nuts, I will go with a walnut cake.
A walnut cake.
I have to.
Oh.
I have to. It's either that or cinnamon buns.
Oh wow, I fucking love a cinnamon bun. That feels like a morning moment though.
I hear you,
Yeah, but you disagree.
but there are these cinnamon buns from Buns from Home.
Okay.
If you haven't tried it, you need to.
Okay.
It's my favourite place. There's Spenny though, so
Oh, okay.
take that with a pinch of salt. But yeah,
Also,
a cinnamon bun and a tea, a green tea.
Okay. Caffeine at night, that's
Maybe a
crazy
little peppermint.
behaviour.
Listen, it doesn't actually affect me.
Oh, it
that
really
badly.
affects me.
Yeah, no, I hardly notice that.
Wow.
But yeah, that will sort me right out. A little bit of my favourite show. So I might watch some Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory.
Love a bit of Sheldon, do you?
Ah, Sheldon. Me and Sheldon are friends, man. Sheldon is who I wish I could have been. He's the academic I wish I could have been. I genuinely, honest to God, wish I was that smart. Yeah.
Wow.
Probably with the personality traits of Leonard.
Yeah.
Just so I can be somewhat a social guy, but I wish I was that smart.
Wow.
But yeah, no, not getting enough sleep. Mm-hmm. Or getting too much sleep, Getting too much sleep really.
You want the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. In opposition to that then, 3 things that make you feel like the shit.
Ooh, looking in the mirror. Now I'm being genuine. Looking in the mirror. Sometimes, like, I fall in love with myself every day. I look at myself, I'm just like, damn, man. Like, I don't want to sound big-headed, but Zeph, you really got it going on, man. Like, I understand. I understand the traffic. There's not traffic, man. There's one person. But I get it, Zeph. I do get it.
Gotta back yourself.
Yeah, man. So looking in the mirror, I think writing makes me feel like this shit because it's a process of me like maintaining power over my experiences, where a lot of them are so deep and so personal. It's very easy for them to own me and for me to begin to identify myself with that experience or who I was at that time.
Yeah.
Whereas when I can finish a piece and look back at it and read it back and go, okay, no, this is who I was.
Yeah.
And that's not who I am right now.
Yeah.
Like, when I look in that mirror, that's not who I see. That gives me a bit more stability in my life to know, all right, you've changed. Willing or not, you have changed. And I can honestly say, and I hope other people would say the same, it's been for the better.
Yeah.
So yeah, writing is one thing that makes me feel like the shit. A third thing is being able to smile, like genuinely being able to smile and like have a laugh. So there was a point in time where that was not the case, and I probably walked around looking like I hated all of humanity for a little minute. But being able to smile and laugh and like go to my mate's backyard and have a picnic in the summer and just have a time. We're not doing anything. Everyone's just talking and socializing, but it's just a good time. And the fact that I can now, after everything that life has thrown at me, I can enjoy those times, like genuinely enjoy them.
Yeah.
They're not huge moments by any extent. Like they're not huge things, but that little thing brings me so much joy. And the fact that I can enjoy that is just like
Like the simple things.
Yeah.
Simplicity.
I am a man of little things.
I like that. Have you heard the poem by Wendy Cope called The Orange?
I haven't.
It's like everyone's favourite poem, but I'll send it to you after this. But it's basically just a poem about her sharing an orange with her friends.
So
And
cute.
it's really cute. And it's like a
That's so
really big
sweet.
orange, and she's like, the size of it made us laugh. It's really sweet. I'll send
That's
it to
so
you.
sweet.
Okay, something that makes you lose your shit in a positive and a negative way. Two different things.
In a positive, it has to be seeing my friends succeed.
Yeah.
I was so quick to answer that, but it's because it's true.
I feel like I've witnessed you witnessing your friends succeed.
Oh,
And it's the joy to behold.
we could sit here talking about, like, you was at Grooveverse.
Yeah.
But
So
Josh
you were
won.
headlining, and
Yeah,
he was
see again,
competing.
I was
So that was like a full
headlining.
circle moment.
It really was.
Yeah.
So I was headlining a year later at a different event called Grooveverse.
Which, correct me if I'm wrong, but you weren't meant to be. So for the
No,
competition,
yeah.
which was a month before,
Yeah.
2 months before,
Yeah.
you weren't meant to be competing.
No.
You got called on the
I
day.
got called the day before.
Okay.
And it was just like, hey, we've had a last minute dropout, but we've seen your stuff on Poets Palace. You're really good. Like, are you available tomorrow to be a guest poet? And I was just like, oh, look at that, I actually am. So we went there, and I was obviously amongst other poets in the running for the next headline spot, and I won it.
Yeah, you did.
And I was just like, great. That sounded so sarcastic and underwhelming. No, it was just a little bit of a shock.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah,
I was
'cause
just like, I wasn't
2 days ago,
prepared
you
for
weren't
it.
even thinking about it.
Yeah, no. And then at my headline, Josh was a guest poet in the running for a
Yeah, he was
headline.
competing.
And I'm not going to lie to you. Sorry, Josh. But the night started off, and I was just like, yeah, Josh, it's a long day.
Oh.
It's a long day. Because there was some
some
honest to
great
God,
poets,
there
yeah.
were fantastic people there, like Poetica.
Yeah.
For her to kick
She's
the night off the way
amazing,
she did.
yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I said, what the hell is happening?
Yeah.
And then Josh went, and I was just like, heard every single one of these pieces before. Me and him share poetry often, but I've never seen it in this way.
Yeah.
The way it moved me, the way it moved the crowd, like I removed all bias from it, I still would have chosen him.
Yeah.
And he won a headline at my headline.
Yeah.
And it was just the best thing ever, man. I lost my voice that day because I was screaming so much. But yeah, no, seeing my friends win,
Yeah.
seeing them happy, that really does it for me.
That's cool.
Like, even if my dreams are never realised or actualised and accomplished, and I, work my way up to a little office job and I make a cool little salary as a marketer or whatever, my friends are succeeding, I'm more than happy. Like, I'm more than fulfilled.
I love that. Something makes you lose your shit in a negative way.
Dishonesty. I don't like it. I understand that honesty is hard sometimes. It's not always easy to tell the truth, especially if you're in the wrong about a situation or if there's just multiple people involved in a situation, because that is multiple emotions that you have to deal with. But I just feel like telling the truth is just the thing to do. Yeah. And then again, telling the truth and being honest are two completely different things. You can tell the truth but still not be honest about how you feel about a situation. So I try to practice honesty as much as possible. Yeah. Because even in the truth, you can still technically be telling a lie.
Honesty is like integrity, isn't it? It's like matching it up with your integrity.
And it's a scary thing to do, because you then, especially in those types of scenarios, you then have to think about, how is this person going to receive what I'm about to say? Yeah. Like, does that does my honesty and my truth then mean that the relationship capitulates, or can we grow past this? You know what I mean? It's a really weird thing.
Have you ever read All About Love by Bell Hooks?
No.
You should read it. I just feel like you'd fucking love it.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Bell Hooks?
I haven't.
So she's this black feminist writer. She's passed away now, but there was a big moment during lockdown where like I think a lot of people were reading it.
Okay.
And it's amazing. She's like anti-capitalism and like all of these kinds of things. But the way that she talks about love and the way that she talks about like honesty and like loving honesty is like a really beautiful thing. And that book is like the biggest shift that I have had, because I think prior to that I was guilty of like not necessarily being honest because I was scared of hurting people's feelings, or like it was like a people pleasing thing that I would kind of try to say what they wanted me to hear because I wasn't confident enough in my own integrity to speak my truth.
Yeah.
But reading that book was such like a light bulb moment in terms of all of those things. Like I would really recommend it.
That's great. Yeah. No. Send me the book so I don't forget after. But yeah.
A moment you found some shit out about yourself.
Every day. What's the standout moment? The 13th of July. On that day, context, and I will not give the entire thing away, but so Josh has this page called Hello Mutuals, which is essentially just a hub for creatives, people who do music, acting, etc., whatever, just to link up, kind of share work, etc., collaborate. Shout out Hello Mutuals on Instagram. And so he was doing a shoot. I was at the shoot. There was someone else at this shoot. You would have heard that I did a poem called The Woman in the Black Dress. The 13th of July is when I met her.
Wow.
And yeah, it's like that day I realised that I was a baby. I'm a softie. I'm a huge softie. Through all heartbreaks, I was just like, it's just in my nature to be this way.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I thought that was not necessarily lost, but kind of dead to an extent. Because I kind of adopted this mentality of, well, you know, I might die single.
Yeah.
And maybe that's okay. maybe that's okay.
We're all gonna die single, babe.
Literally. But I was just kind of like, yeah, no, this is fun. Like, this is...
Yeah.
Like, feeling is actually dope.
Yeah.
It's so dope.
Yeah.
And, like, having another person to just kind of be aware of and mindful of and all of that stuff. So, yeah, I learned that I was a big softie.
That's beautiful. Hopeless romantic is the poet in you.
Yeah.
Okay, shittest piece of advice you've received?
Do it tomorrow. Yeah, do it tomorrow. There's not always a tomorrow. Sometimes tomorrow never comes, whether that's for me or for somebody else or for that opportunity.
Yeah.
If you have the chance to do it today, and it's weird because, again, some things are just like you can't burn yourself out doing them so repetitively or whatever the thing is. Like, if you can do it tomorrow and it's not going to like massively change your life if you don't do it today and you never get to do it again, by all means do it tomorrow. Look after yourself. But when it comes to important things, if you've got someone you love that you need to tell that you haven't spoken to in a minute, do it today. Like, even now that made me think, if I haven't spoken to my uncle in quite a while, I'm probably going to call him after this and tell him what's up. But yeah, don't wait till tomorrow, because you're never actually guaranteed that. And it's a weird thing to think. It is actually a bit, morbid and scary, but you don't have all the time in the world.
It's also, it's scary, but it's also kind of beautiful because it's saying like give people their flowers and like take the opportunity because you can, because you don't know like whether you'll be able to do it the next day.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that should be enough reason to do all the things that we love and to pursue all the things that we want to.
Yeah.
Because you can.
Yeah.
You shouldn't need any more reason than that to do something. You can.
Yeah.
So you should, especially if that thing is a positive thing.
Okay, shit you wish you'd known sooner.
Get a job. Get a job. The tax man is stealing from me. Goodness me. I'm responsible for 100% of this work and you are taking so much of it. Save. Honestly, save. I'm still quite young. I still live at home. So I'm very lucky in that sense. But for anyone who's younger than me, or anyone who's older than me, save. Yeah. Still save. Even it doesn't have to be a whole lot. This is probably less profound to like selves and individuals and is more relating to the world, but we live in the world, so it's not something that we can ignore. The government doesn't care about you. Unfortunately, they do not care about you. And the banks aren't going to look after you too well either. So just save, have a bit of self-reliance. It makes life easier. I'm not going to say I am wholly financially stable, but I am stable and I can do what I want, which isn't a lot. I don't like to do a lot. But like if I wanted to go for a coffee right now, I could. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's that if you afford yourself that comfortability, you can turn off that part of your brain that has to stress about those things. Yeah. So safe.
Yeah. It reminds me of that quote that's like, money doesn't buy you happiness, but it buys you like options and choice.
Yeah.
And like being able to choose to get a coffee or something like that. It's those small things that like actually can mean a lot in life.
Because I know people that love Starbucks. And Starbucks is an expensive coffee shop.
Yeah, cancelled
sometimes
now, of course.
Honestly. And sometimes it doesn't make sense for them to go and get one, you know? And it's just like, shitty for you because I want you to be able to do what you want to do. Yeah. So, safe.
Yeah. We don't really get taught how to do that, though.
No, we don't. Yeah. Schools don't
want us to know.
Schools don't love us. They don't teach me about tax. They don't teach me about current accounts and credit cards and anything like that.
Trigonometry. So that's good, isn't it?
Have you ever used it?
Nope.
There you go.
Okay, before the podcast, I asked you to think of a shit shot. So that is a photo that, to the outside eye, looks like you have your shit together. But at the time it was taken, you definitely didn't. What is it?
That was that picture of me winning the headline at Poets Palace, and I'm hugging, embracing my brother Josh, who was very easily the most excited in the room for me. Yeah. But just because of the time frame of what was happening around that time, it was so like. To this day, it's probably one of the most bittersweet moments for me, because that was such a positive thing in terms of the trajectory my life took in the next year. But I never got to appreciate that moment. And it's gone now, so I can't recapture that feeling. Yeah. Especially as it was so unique. That's my first performance in 10 years. That is, you know, a big achievement to win a headline right off the rip. I can't get that back. I've won multiple headlines since. I've done so many performances since. Like, I can't recapture that feeling, and that's probably the worst thing about that situation is just like such a positive outpour. I can still, like, in my head, I can hear the screams and the cheers and how happy everyone was. And I had friends there that I haven't seen since either college or before that. And it was a really, really, really positive moment, just shrouded by a little bit of negativity at the time. So that's my shit shot.
What I would say about that, though, is you, in these moments, these big life moments like that, or like Katie running the marathon and stuff like this, we have an expectation of how we should feel, and rarely it's actually what you think that you should feel, or, you know, putting an outside pressure on the thing to be a certain way as well. Like, you can only meet yourself where you're at. Yeah. And that moment happened, and you might not have felt like how you feel like you ought to have felt in that moment, but you're getting the flowers from it since that moment. So enjoy those things rather than like regretting not feeling fully present for that. Like, you know,
regret is a weird thing, because it's one of those things where I can, like you say, every show since, like fully invested, like I'm in that moment, and we can really appreciate getting flowers from people, especially people who understand the journey, right? But it's just like, regret is just one of those things. As much as I can look back and be like, you know what, it is what it is. There's always going to be that little part of me that just wishes that I had my brain turned off just a little bit more and my heart turned on just a little bit more in that moment. And that will never leave and that will stay, and it is what it is. But you know, you learn to live with it. It's okay that situation unfolded the way that it did, because I don't think a soldier's scars would have been written if it didn't happen that way. And that's been something that has been very transformative in my life as of late. So
Yeah. Well, Zeph, have you got your shit together?
No, I don't. And I'm very proud not to. We're still figuring it out on a daily basis. I don't want to say I don't have it together. You know what? We're on the toilet, right? We're on the toilet.
Set the scene, babe. Come on.
And we've just taken a shit.
Right.
And it's not like constipation level droopy, but it's got a little bit of liquidity to it.
Okay.
And you're going for the wipe, and there's just enough there to like get a clean enough wipe on it and get all the excess shit out.
Yeah.
But like there might be a little remnant here and there.
Okay.
So there's still some shit about.
Yeah.
Majority of it has been collected. In a baby wipe, of course, because I don't feel like tearing my asshole using toilet. But yeah, no, I'm again in that process, and I'm loving it, and I'm taking every day in its stride. Trying not to think too much.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to think too much. I'm kind of just trying to be present.
Yeah.
And do. I've notoriously been known to not be active on social media. I am in the middle of quite an extensive break.
Yeah.
For everyone crying at me, I will be back next year. Okay, everyone.
Has it been useful being off it?
So useful.
Yeah.
I just love life so much more. Like this thing, this
you
phone in
from...
my hand. I honestly nowadays I could leave the house and I don't need it.
Have you heard "Children of the Internet" by Ezra Collective and Dave?
No.
Oh, I fucking love it, and there's some bars about like that relationship and how it like puts you off. Yeah.
But it's just like the reliance never used to be on there. I used to go out and knock on doors for my friends and ask their mothers if they could play out with me. That's where I came.
You can still do that. Bring that back.
Of course you can, and I still very much do so. And it's just now a little bit more because you have to prep because sometimes they're just not home, and it's just like well, you live quite far from me. Yeah. But yeah, no. So I've taken a lot of time off my phone. Yeah. Probably will take some more, even when I get back onto social media. Still, just learn how to balance that.
It's the tool and
it's the tool. It doesn't use me. I use it. Yeah. But yeah, I've got my shit starting to come together, and I don't think it will be done until my last day on this earth, whenever that may be. But I'm okay with that.
Amazing.
Have you got your shit together? Okay.
Absolutely not.
No?
No, not at all. No.
Is that okay?
That's why I'm like getting people here so I can like figure out how to make it happen.
But would you not say figuring out how to get your shit together is part of getting your shit together?
Well, it's what you said about getting up every day and trying, isn't it? And I feel like I'm trying.
You are. And you're doing great.
Thanks, Zeph.
No worries.
Thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
No problem. I've loved it.
Here is one of Zeph's poems, The Woman in the Black Dress.
The evening of September 16th, I saw a picture of a woman in a black dress. Black heels, red nails, layered bracelets. I'm very much obsessed. Probably ill-considered, but I know I have to win her heart next. She's a prized possession, but not anyone's property. I've only met her once, yet feel like I've known her my whole life, a strange dichotomy. She was in Paris, France, And even though I saw her see the Mona Lisa, for some reason I lack the heart to tell her that in my eyes and in that room, she is the only work of art. It makes sense, her mother equally as beautiful at a glance. So to the woman in the black dress, how symbolic of a shadow you are. To me, never tangible, but in your physical absence, you catch my eye enough for thoughts to spark. Ladywell Park, the place that cemented our meeting. A nervous young man asks beauty personified if she was single. She said yes. His heart at triple speed started beating. The evening of September 16th, I saw a picture of a woman in a black dress. Is it then idealism for me to want a future where those black heels reside on a shoe wall 5 feet from our bed? Those red nails resting gently on my chest, layered bracelets are matching his and her set. I'm still very much obsessed with the woman in the black dress.